Wow, I see quite a crowd here.
Yeah, so this is where we cut, and this is where we do a lot of other work. We do our chains, we still sew out here. They're doing a lot of the coupling, so when they're done in the sewing room, they bring it out here for the glues to be added and things to be put together. So you see some bags still in production. They don't have the chain straps yet. A good number of things going on.
You know, one of the things that stands out immediately is, you know, you have quite a number of Nigerians that you've employed through your business. And I want to ask you, how did you build your staff base starting from scratch?
As I needed staff, as I needed more hands, because at a point I had to go out and sell, so I needed to train them to learn to make the bags. When I didn't need to sew anymore, I go out, or when I sew in the morning, I go out in the evening to hustle and sell what we've made. So literally, I hired people as I needed them. I have a good number of them that have been here for some time. This is my own United Nations, you know. I told you about my dream and where I was headed with it, but I'm happy. I'm hiring people from different parts of Nigeria, the north, the east, the south. I have my own bunch of Nigerians from everywhere, and it's beautiful how we come together and make a team. Okay, now you've seen the behind the scenes. You can appreciate how much work we put in, or how much work we have to put in to make a bag. Talk less of maybe mass produce or make orders like we're getting now, like we have a 300 bag order that we're trying to push out. And we have to do that because our competitors are doing a lot. They're working with big machineries, cutting with laser, not even cutting machines, which we are trying to aspire to. So for us to compete in this market and for us to be able to sell our made in Nigeria goods, we have to get it right. So we have to do a lot. And quality, like I always say to my staff, is key. You know, the finishing, the straight lines, you know, the attention to detail, the fact that there's no rope hanging from the bag from anywhere. It's what makes the whole, that's what makes everything worth it in the end, and that's what makes us sell a bag. This is an order. This is all we have to do, and then this is an order we have. This order is going out to the US. It's 300 bags in total. It's going to our distributor in US in Ohio. So we're now at the final processes where we're putting them in the dust bags, because obviously to keep them protected, and this is how it's going. So all this you see, we have to also hand pack everything. So this is all done. We've packed them in the bags just to protect them, and then they're all out and ready. So we're now bagging them. So you can see at the bag when it's done, then we obviously ship.
Proving that there is no substitute for hard work, Nneamaka explains what drove her into entrepreneurship.
I moved back to Nigeria in 2009 finally to be married. I had just finished my master's in social work in the University of Bristol, and the dream was actually to be a social worker and then graduate from there to public health and work for the UN. I've always had the dream to work for the UN, but I find myself back in Nigeria to be with my husband after my marriage, and I couldn't really find gainful employment. I worked in a nursery school and then in another nursery school, and then I got this job in this NGO. And then the month they hire us in November 2010, that month they hire me, I start work, they stop paying salaries. So no salary November, no salary December, no salary January, and I'm sitting in my living room one day thinking about my life. My sister had asked me, let me import Pampers so you will sell, do this, do that. I'm like, I'm not going to do buying and selling anymore because I had done this in school. If I'm going to go into trading or anything, I want to do something that had a purpose, that was like purpose driven and something that I loved to do. So I love handbags. I'm the girl who wants to own a handbag in all the shades of red. So when I started drawing handbags, it wasn't so far from it. And then I drew the handbags. I tried to make one with a machine my mom had bought for me as a wedding present, and they were not sturdy. So I went into the market on Otako here in Abuja, and I found the shoemaker who had repaired a shoe of mine at some point and told him, could you copy this clutch bag I had at the point? I gave him this damask fabric, and he copied it literally exactly like one week later. So I gave him another 4 pieces to make, and he made them. I took it to a fair with my friend Chineye. She was going for a first, so we rented the table next to her. People loved it. People loved more of the Ankara ones that I had made with my machine, but I had put a novel inside to make it structured. It wasn't even a structured bag. So I felt that this was a business I could pursue. At the time, I didn't know how to make a bag, so I went back to this guy to help me make the bags. And for every day for the next 3 weeks, I went there and he wouldn't produce the bags. He would see me and bring out the sides and start heating them. And at one of the days I was going to a shop in Otaku, somebody bashed into my car under the bridge at the roundabout, and that was like obviously my turning point. I got to his shop, I was really furious and about to shout at him, and something said to me, "You are literally jobless, my dear. What are you doing? Why don't you take the size of this bag? You've been coming here every week for 3 days, for 3 weeks, every day for 3 weeks. Why don't you take the side of the bags and go and try it out?" So I go out of his shop, buy a hammer, get a container, tell him to add 15 naira gum for me, bought a brush, came home, sat down in my children's room at the point, and under 30 minutes or less, I was done with the size of these 8 bags. And I was like, voila, really and truly, you have been wasting your time just going there every day. But it wasn't like a waste of time. Like sometimes God wants to do something with us. So that was my training. That was a free training that I had. I called my sister Onyoma in the UK and I said to her, Onyoma, look at what just happened, because she knew I was already in the process. And I said to her, I'm going to do these bags, oh. I am going to be a shoemaker in this Abuja, and people will ask like, how? And she was like, you can do it. Anything you put to your mind, you can do it. I go back the next day, take the main body of the bag from the guy, come back, I finish it. And I come back and he's looking at me like, this woman. Really and truly, at that point, he was trying to get rid of me because he was just tired of me coming every day and literally nagging him to make these bags. And he had other things he was doing. So he showed me the final parts of it, and I took the bags, came home. After I had gotten my order of the 8 bags, I sat down on my front porch the next day. I bought all the tools I needed for him, and I started making the bags. And literally that is how this all started. I hired my first staff, who you've met Friday, and we just started making the bags. I'll sew the bags, I'll join them, make the bags in the evening around 3 to 4. I put the bags in my boots inside the Ghana must go, drive into town, park in front of offices and bringing them out, and people are looking at the different bags I had. I started making the bags with the scarf that women use, the gelees that women use for their hair tie, the damask gelees, and then we went into Ankara, and now we're in leather. And then I'm lucky because for my business, people started discovering right from the earliest onset that, oh, Amaka can just turn a scarf into a bag. So they have a wedding, they don't want to use the scarf. So like somebody like me, I don't know how to tie the scarf. And they're like, okay, so how do I use this ashwebi? They send the bag to me, the scarf to me, and I make a bag out of it. And for me, it's like there's nothing. It's like my gin and tonic. Like I take a lot from just the process of making the bag and the fascination that I am able to create this. And that is what has sustained me all this time, and obviously through everything. We're lucky we live in the age of technology, so social media is so big, so people are able to find us. We have an Instagram account, which is Nneamaka, and we have our Facebook Nneamaka and Twitter Nneamaka, and then we also have a fully functional e-commerce website where people are able to shop our products from anywhere in the world, and we ship, like I told you, with NiPost, and it's there in a few days. We also ship with DHL, depending on what you can afford.